To everyone who has ever found a home far from their own, my name is Alexandra Rajeska. I am 28 years old, a professional volleyball player from Krakow, Poland, and for the past 18 years, this sport has been my life. Today, I want to tell you how I ended up playing in the professional league in Canada and about the series of events that forever changed my destiny. This story begins in the autumn of 2021 during a special women's volleyball invitational tournament held in Toronto. At the time, I was a starting middle blocker for the Polish national team, a pillar of our squad. Standing at 188 centimeters, I had built a solid reputation in the European leagues and came to Canada confident that I could make my mark. But then, just before the tournament began, everything changed. Marta Kowalska, our star outside hitter and the heart of our offense, suffered a severe ACL tear in her right knee during a practice session. She was our emotional core, our most explosive attacker. Entering a high-level tournament without her felt like going into battle having already lost our right arm. Nevertheless, the rest of us resolved to fight with everything we had and made the long journey to Canada. The tournament was held at the massive Scotiabank Arena, featuring 5 of the world's top teams. The host nation Canada, Brazil, the USA, Italy, and us, Poland. To be honest, even at full strength, it would have been an incredibly difficult competition. The reality, however, was far harsher than we had imagined. In our first match, we lost to Brazil 1-3. The next day, we were swept by the USA, a crushing 0-3 defeat. Then came a 1-3 loss to Italy. By this point, it was almost certain we would finish last in the group. The atmosphere in our locker room grew heavier each day. The usual chatter and laughter were replaced by a grim, suffocating silence. And then came the fateful match against the host nation, Canada. Scotiabank Arena was a roaring sea of red and white, packed to the rafters with home fans. The sound of the Canadian national anthem echoed with a power that made our own cheers feel like whispers in a hurricane. From the first serve, the game belonged to Canada. We fought as hard as we could, but a team missing its core has its limits. We lost the first set 21-25, the second 19-25, and the third 22-25. A complete 0-3 sweep. In that match, I managed only 3 kills. I didn't record a single block. After the game, back in the silence of the locker room, no one spoke a word. Our last place finish was confirmed. With trembling hands, I picked up my smartphone and video called my parents back home. Mamo, Tato, I started, my voice breaking, I can't do this anymore. Maybe I just don't have the talent for this. I wept uncontrollably in front of my parents on the screen. In all my 18 years of playing volleyball, I had never felt so utterly powerless. That night, I lay alone in my hotel room, staring at the ceiling. Why did we come all this way just to be humiliated like this? I thought. Outside my window, the brilliant lights of the Toronto skyline glittered, but their beauty couldn't penetrate the darkness in my heart. We had one final match against Kenya the next day, a game that meant nothing for the standings. It was just a formality. I buried my face in my pillow and whispered to myself, I'm done. I'm quitting volleyball. At that moment, I could never have imagined that the very next day, an encounter was waiting for me that would change my life forever. The next morning, I woke with a heart that felt as heavy as lead. I had barely slept, tossing and turning all night. The clock read 7 a.m. Our final match against Kenya was later that day, but I needed to clear my head. I felt that if I stayed in the hotel room, the despair from the night before would swallow me whole. I decided to go for a walk in a small public park I had seen near the hotel, hoping the crisp morning air would offer some relief. The park was a small, green oasis nestled between the city's glass towers, quiet and peaceful. The early morning sun filtered through the autumn leaves, casting a beautiful, gentle light. As it was a weekday morning, only a few people were out jogging or walking their dogs. I sat down on a bench and stared blankly at the sky, wondering what I was going to do with my life. Suddenly, a small voice from behind me asked, "Excuse me, are you one of the players from Team Poland?" I turned to see a young girl, probably elementary school age, standing there with her mother. The girl spoke to me in polite, clear English. Her mother, a kind-faced woman in her early 30s, held her daughter's hand gently. The little girl's name was Lily, and she was 9 years old. In her hands, she clutched two things. The first, I saw as I looked closer, was a small, handmade Polish flag, carefully sewn from pieces of red and white fabric. It was clear she had spent a lot of time on it. The other was a piece of white paper with a message written in large letters. It said, "Thank you." Below the English words, in slightly shaky handwriting, was another word I recognized instantly. Dziękuję. How did a 9-year-old girl in Canada find out how to write thank you in Polish? The letters were a bit crooked, but the effort behind them was immense. Her mother explained softly, "I'm so sorry to bother you this early. My daughter watched your match on TV yesterday, and she was adamant that she had to find a way to thank you, Miss Rajeska." I was stunned. Yesterday's match was a complete disaster for us, a showcase of Canadian dominance. Why on earth would this little girl want to thank a player from the losing team? Lily, though shy, spoke up with determination. "You were so cool yesterday," she said. "I saw you fighting until the very end. It was amazing. Even though you lost, it was a beautiful game. I want to be just like you someday, Miss Rajeska." The moment I heard her words, I was speechless. Even though you lost, it was a beautiful game. I want to be like you someday. In my entire volleyball career, no one had ever said those words to me after a loss. In Poland, in Europe, sport is about results. Winners are praised, losers are forgotten. I grew up in that world, which is why the defeat yesterday had been so devastating. But this 9-year-old girl was different. She looked past the scoreboard and saw value in our struggle. She saw the beauty in our fight. Her mother added, "Lily has been playing volleyball since she was 6. After the match, she said to me, "The Polish players tried so hard. They must be so sad. I want to go and thank them." So she went on the internet to look up how to write in Polish and made these herself. Tears began to well up in my eyes. But these weren't the bitter tears of self-pity from the night before. These were warm tears, born from a profound and unexpected moment of human kindness. Lily held out the handmade flag and the thank you note to me. The moment my hands closed around the simple gifts, crafted with such care by her small hands, something inside me shifted. This little angel had just taught me that the true value of sport isn't only about winning or losing. The act of fighting with all your heart has a power of its own, a power to inspire and move people. I knelt down to her eye level, took her small hand in mine, and said in Polish, the only words that felt right, "Dziękuję." Lily's face lit up with a brilliant smile. After our meeting in the park, Lily, her mother, and I sat on the bench and talked for a while. Lily, despite her shyness, spoke passionately about yesterday's match. Every one of her innocent, heartfelt words was a balm to my wounded soul. Then, Lily's mother said something that took me completely by surprise. "If you wouldn't mind, we would be honored if you would join our family for dinner tonight. Lily would love to talk with you more." I was shocked. Inviting a complete stranger, a foreigner you've just met, to your home is not something that happens every day. But the sincerity in her expression was undeniable. I gratefully accepted her invitation. After our final placement match that afternoon, we lost a hard-fought battle to Kenya 2-3, but it didn't seem to matter anymore. I took a taxi to the address they had given me. Meeting Lily that morning had made my heart feel impossibly light. Their home was a charming 2-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. As I approached the front door, I could hear happy chatter from inside. I rang the bell, and Lily immediately swung the door open, her face beaming. "Alexandra is here." At the door stood not only Lily and her mother, but also her father, whom I was meeting for the first time, and her grandmother. Her father, a man in his early 40s who looked like he had just changed out of a business suit, greeted me with a warm handshake. Her grandmother, a graceful woman in her 70s wearing a lovely patterned sweater, smiled kindly. "Welcome, welcome. My daughter has been waiting for you all day," the father said. "You must be tired from your long journey and all the games," the grandmother added. "We've prepared a small, simple meal, but it's made with heart." The house was filled with the warmth of a loving Canadian family. On the dining table was a feast of home-cooked food: a beautiful roasted salmon, maple-glazed carrots, wild rice, and a large, fresh salad. Everything smelled delicious. Before we ate, Lily excitedly brought something to show me. It was a scrapbook she had made. On the cover, in careful handwriting, it read, "Alexandra's Tournament Journal." "It took me a whole week to make," she announced proudly, opening it for me. The pages were filled with pictures of me from the tournament clippings, from newspapers, photos printed from the internet, and even action shots from our matches. What was more incredible was her detailed analysis. "Your kill percentage was 40%, she explained, pointing to a chart. "The number might not be the highest, but the way you always encouraged your teammates was amazing. Especially late in the third set against Canada, when you were behind and you still dove to save that ball. That was the most impressive play of the match." I couldn't believe a 9-year-old could be so observant, looking not just at statistics, but at the quality of play and the mental fortitude behind it. During dinner, the whole family engaged me in conversation. But it was what the grandmother told me that moved me the most. "In Canada," she said, "we have a culture of what you might call good sportsmanship. We cheer for people who give their all. It's not just the winner who is great. We place great importance on effort, on those who refuse to give up until the very end. That's the heart of the game for us." Her son, Lily's father, added, "I think the reason Lily was so impressed with your playing is because she's absorbed that spirit. We try to see the beauty in a person's heart and their effort, more than just the final score. Perhaps that's a Canadian value." I was overwhelmed with emotion. My whole life, I had only known a culture that glorified winners. A losing athlete was worthless. Effort without results was meaningless. I was taught to believe that. But this Canadian family was completely different. They didn't look at the result. They looked at the process. They didn't see victory or defeat. They saw spirit. And they told me this wasn't anything special, but simply a normal part of Canadian culture. Finally, Lily said to me, "Alexandra, next time you have to win. But even if you lose, I'll still cheer for you. Because people who try their hardest are the coolest." That night, as the family waved goodbye to me from their doorstep, the way I felt about myself and my sport had been completely transformed. The thought of quitting volleyball had vanished without a trace. The day of our final match against Kenya, I woke up with a feeling of purpose. My heart was light and filled with a positive energy I hadn't felt throughout the tournament. My teammates noticed the change. "Alexandra, you seem brighter today," our team captain remarked. "I met some amazing people here in Canada," I replied. "Today, I want to play my best for them." At 2 p.m., we headed to Scotiabank Arena. As we warmed up, I habitually glanced up at the stands. And in that moment, I saw a sight I could hardly believe. In one section of the stands, I saw Lily and her entire family, and they were holding up a large, handmade banner. On it, in huge Polish letters, were the words, "Walczaj Aleksandra," fight Alexandra. What was even more astonishing was that surrounding Lily's family were other Canadians. There was the friendly man from the corner store, the local librarian, some high school students, even Lily's youth volleyball team. They were all holding small, handmade Polish flags and cheering for us. When the match began, the unexpected happened. In our previous matches, the sound of Polish cheers was non-existent. But today, from the section where Lily sat, a clear and passionate cheer for Poland rose up. "Aleksandra! Polska! Go! Go! Go!" Even more moving, I could hear the children's voices shouting, Dziękuję, Dziękuję, in imperfect but heartfelt Polish. We lost the first set 19-25, but the cheering didn't stop. We lost the second 22-25. But every time we made a great play, we were met with warm applause from the crowd. In the third set, we fought tooth and nail, taking a 20-18 lead. That's when the perfect opportunity came. Our setter delivered a flawless ball right to me. I leaped as high as I could and swung with all my might. The ball blasted past the blockers and crashed onto the court. 21-18. In that instant, the entire arena erupted, especially Lily's section, which roared with the force of a home crowd in Poland. I clenched my fist and, without thinking, bowed to the cheering fans. Though we won that set 25-21, we narrowly lost the fourth and fifth sets, and Kenya won the match 3-2. We finished in last place. But the moment the final whistle blew, something incredible happened. The entire stadium rose to its feet and gave us a standing ovation. They applauded the victors, Team Kenya, and they applauded us, the defeated, with equal warmth and respect. Tears streamed down my face. In my entire life, no one had ever applauded a loser so thunderously. In the post-game interview, I couldn't hold back my emotions. "This is the first time in my life I've ever received cheers like this," I said through my tears. "From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the people of Canada for giving us, the losing team, such a warm and generous applause." I learned the true beauty of sport in this country. After the interview, Lily and her new cheering squad were waiting for me by the exit. "Alexandra, you were incredible," Lily shouted. That final kill was so cool. Seeing her pure, joyful smile, the tears started flowing again. 2 years later, in the autumn of 2023, I signed a contract with the Toronto Rise VC, a top team in Canada's new professional women's volleyball league. 2 years of relentless hard work had paid off. The very first thing I did upon landing at Toronto Pearson International Airport was call Lily and her family. I heard her bright, excited voice on the phone. "Alexandra, you really came back." Lily was now 11 years old, a key player for her local youth volleyball club. We arranged to meet at that same, now cherished, park near my old hotel. We sat on the very same bench as 2 years ago, but this time everything felt different. "I'm back to keep my promise," I said. Lily smiled brightly. "I kept my promise too," she replied. "I've been practicing hard every day so I can be like you someday." Seeing how much she had grown, my heart swelled with pride. The small 9-year-old girl was now a graceful young athlete. When I started training with the Toronto Rise, I quickly became a core player, using my height and experience to contribute to the team. The high level of Canadian volleyball and the warm welcome from my teammates made me fall in love with the country all over again. The cheers from the crowds were especially moving. Even when we were behind, the Canadian fans would cheer for us until the very end. The culture of applauding both winner and loser brought back the powerful memories from 2 years ago. Lily's house truly became my second home. I celebrated Canada Day and Thanksgiving with them, learning about Canadian traditions. We cooked together, went for hikes, and they treated me like a real member of their family. I am now in my 3rd year of playing professional volleyball in Canada. What I have learned in this country goes far beyond the skills of the sport. I have learned about humanity, about the meaning of effort, and most importantly, about the power of human connection. Lily is now in middle school and is the ace of her school's volleyball team. The other day, I went to watch one of her games. I saw her on the court, playing with a beautiful, relentless spirit that reminded me of someone I used to be and someone I had become. "Your game was so beautiful, Lily," I told her after the match. She beamed with pride. "Well, you're the one who taught me, Alexandra, that what's important isn't winning or losing, but how hard you try." I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that the tournament in the autumn of 2021, where I finished in last place, was the most valuable experience of my entire life. If I hadn't met Lily that day, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Finally, to everyone listening, I want to say this. The people of Canada cheer for everyone who tries, not just the winners. No matter how small the effort, no matter how daunting the challenge, they see you and they value you. And that single truth completely changed my life. I now love Canada with all my heart. This is my second home, and I will never, ever forget my gratitude for Lily, her family, and all the people in the stands that day. The true value of sport isn't winning or losing. It's about giving your absolute best, never giving up, and leaving a piece of your heart with those who watch. Thank you, Canada. Because of all of you, I am still able to play the sport I love every single day. And from now on, I will continue to play with all my heart for all of you. Thank you.